This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports. You're listening to TGI Sports Talk with your host, Keith Angle, on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Oh, boy. Good morning, everybody. Keith Angle for TGI Sports Talk Sunday. Stream of consciousness right here on Northeast Streaming Sports. Oh, what a beautiful day. We decided to move outside of the studio for the first time this year and get some fresh air, which hopefully you'll see me more weeks than not going forward. Don't know why I can't read that. Oh, guys, what a day. What a week. Gonna need your help today to carry this show. Had a great day yesterday on the golf course. Kenny Gifford, one of the great friends of the show, and we played in Loopy's tournament up in Amsterdam, New York. Had a beautiful day on the golf course. We didn't play badly. We didn't play great, but we had a lot of fun. Did win closest to the pin on number 2. So my wife got a nice Dunkin' Donuts gift card for that. So we had a lot of fun with that. And today, guys, I wanted to, we're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube, Twitter. We'll be on Roku at noontime with a repeat of this show. And don't forget all the podcast locations you can get on this as well. We'll have Jim Biringer on today to talk NHL hockey. The Rangers up 2-0 against the defending champion Tampa Bay Lightning. And Lightning just don't look like they've got their legs under them right now. The Rangers' speed has been killing them. The kid line has been killing them. I think I saw a stat that players under 22, and I'll talk to Jim about this, players under 22 years old have scored like 32, the Rangers lead it with 32 goals in this playoff, players under 22 scoring, and I think the next team was at least 10 goals behind them. We'll talk to Jim Biringer about that. We'll talk about the Avs and Oilers and anything else you want to talk about in the NHL. We'll talk some Major League Baseball. We'll get around the league. We'll look at Joe Girardi's firing, which I had told you should be imminent, and it was. And we'll look at Miguel Andahar asking to be traded as Yankees send him to the minors again when he's probably their best option in left field right now. Oh, go back to Joe Girardi. I'm going to talk about Rob Thompson getting that job as well. I'm a big Rob Thompson fan. He was a longtime Yankee coach under Joe Girardi, and did interview for the job in 2017. We'll talk about him. We'll talk about some other players, possibly some teams that will be looking to sell, most likely. Maybe we'll talk some NFL. The Marion Barber sad story. Rest in peace, Marion Barber, 38 years old, I think, former running back, really good running back with the Cowboys. Sad situation. Starting to see way too much of that from former NFL players. And we'll see what else is going on around the league. And we'll have Mark Mancini in at 10:30, hopefully on video, because I need him to get in here so we don't lose the audience participation part. Good morning, Carlos. Good to have you in here today. Ray Phillips, good morning to you, Ray. How are you, my friend? Actually using the correct, it's Lord Keith, by the way, Ray. I do have an official lordship. I have the proclamation upstairs in my office. So you're close to giving me the proper welcome this morning. So thank you, Ray. Awesome to have you with us. Ray, you want to talk some Red Sox baseball? I'll be glad to throw it out there. I know it's probably hard to talk about the Red Sox right now, although they are starting to creep towards 500. We'll see how that goes. Thanks to the Tennessee Titans for hosting a sports career fair. Good, Carlos. That's something. If you want to talk more about that next Friday, maybe we can do that. Kenny did not wear shoes yesterday. Rick, good morning, Rick Sherlock. Good to have you. Kenny wore no shoes yesterday. He did wear knee supports, but no shoes. But he played pretty well. We had a good time. We for none of us really playing much. We really struck the ball well. We had 4 or 5 birdies yesterday, but the problem is we had a couple bogeys to go along with it, which you cannot do in a scramble. Carlos joined Robert Butler to visit different booths at, that's interesting. The Colts, Falcons, Titans. Good stuff, Carlos. I hope you did some good networking, and maybe Carlos will be moving on to a new career. Did they hire you and fire another? Are you talking to me or Carlos? Oh, God. We had a lot of fun. We'll have Jim Biringer here in a minute, but we'll chat a little bit amongst ourselves. Welcome, guys. We got a little stuff prepared, but yesterday was a long day. I got to tell you, man, I am not young anymore. So in the morning, I had to do some yard work. So I left. We played golf at noon. I'll just give you my personal story, which will bore the crap out of you. I'm going to be 62 in a few weeks, and I decided before I went to play 18 holes of golf to, fertilize the lawn and do a few things around the house. And so it's always good to put a couple miles on walking around the house and then go walk. Well, we didn't walk a lot yesterday, but you still do some walking on the golf course. And I was tired. I mean, I left here at 10 a.m. and didn't get home till 7:30 or 8 o'clock after we played golf, and ended up, for a little bite and a couple of adult beverages at the place that sponsored the tournament. It was a lot of fun, though. Really well run and a lot of fun. A beautiful day. Couldn't ask for a beautiful day, and spent it with some good friends. So a lot of fun there. Looks like Jim Biringer is with us. So let's get right to Jim Biringer, get him in here because he probably wants to enjoy this nice day as well. And we'll talk NHL hockey. Good morning, Jim Biringer. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am excellent. First Sunday outside the studio, and I like to get out in the fresh air when I can because I hate being cramped up in that office. I'm up there all week in my real job, and then I set up the studio for the show, and I feel like I live my life there. So I like to get out here when the weather's good and then get a little different atmosphere for the show. So,
absolutely. I'm doing good. Yeah, doing good. Sunday, got hockey, got French Open finals on, so can't complain. Little pool today, so can't complain.
Cool. I have to ask you. I don't get the shirt today. What is the shirt? Oh, is that for the hockey team?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Just hit me as I was asking you the question.
Yeah. I mean, you can't see it, but it says USA up in the corner.
I couldn't see the USA. Perfect.
Yeah.
Great recognition for a great team. And someday we'll get into someday we'll have to get into a whole conversation about that whole thing. We'll just do a whole, maybe we'll do a whole show on the 1980 Olympic hockey team and, the building of it and right through the Olympics. It might be fun to kind of revisit that with you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what a great team. Met that team numerous times. Just awesome stories. A lot of guys on those teams. A lot of guys went on to have good NHL careers. One guy won a national championship, a gold medal, and a Stanley Cup all in the same year, and then he won 3 more Stanley Cups.
Let me guess. Rob Morrow.
You mean no? Ken Morrow. Ken Morrow.
Rob Morrow.
Yeah, Ken Morrow. Yeah.
Ken Morrow. Yeah. I'm right with that?
Yeah.
The Morrow part anyway.
Yeah, Morrow. Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, God. Let me just see what's going on here. The one thing I have a problem with is reading the comments before I put them up, and it's always a crapshoot when I put them up. Do the show at Lake Placid. Maybe that's what we'll do. You and I will go to Lake Placid and do a remote show from there. Maybe that'd be fun.
Hey, why not? Right?
I got
wait. I got one better. What if we're putting the cart before the horse? But why don't you come down this way if a certain team makes it to the Stanley Cup final?
Maybe we will do that. Maybe we will. Maybe we'll see what we can do with that.
I'm just saying.
Where can we do the show from that would make sense, though? Or if you think the Garden will let us in, we can do it at mid-ice or something? Or
I mean, that would be amazing if the Garden let us in. Maybe we do it at NHL store.
All right, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll have some fun.
Let's talk about that certain team. It's funny. I had talked with you and mentioned it many times, too, during this playoff run that the Rangers seemed to play better with their backs to the wall. Never ahead in any series until now, until the 7th, winning the 7th game. But this has been a total turnaround. How much is this the Rangers? And how much is this the Lightning, the layoff, maybe the age? The Rangers, the speed of the Rangers looks like it's killing the Lightning right now. What are your thoughts on some of that and other stuff, obviously? So
yeah, I mean, to me, through the first 2 games of the series, the New York Rangers are taking a playbook out of the Toronto Maple Leafs. You know, what Toronto did in the first round against Tampa was they used their speed. They brought the attack. They were going north-south. And a lot of the goals they scored on Vasilevsky, they were going east-west. So the Rangers are doing the same thing right now. They're doing the same thing with Vasilevsky. They're driving the puck. They're getting pucks deep, and they're cycling. Their cycle game is really good, especially that kid line. The kid line has been carrying this team pretty much all playoffs. Yeah, they had a little bit of a hiccup against Pittsburgh. They got exposed a little bit, but they've gotten it together, and they scored a lot of big goals. Heel's on fire. Lafreniere's using his body weight. Kakko's playing great. But they're moving Vasilevsky east-west, and they're beating him high blocker. And it's something that the Maple Leafs did. And like I said on my show yesterday, I'd have to look at the stats going back to the regular season to see how many goals they beat Vasilevsky high blocker. But that seems to be that's the area they're going to. Look, Tampa's not going to continue to suck, but the key for me here is that the Rangers have been playing that. I think they've played I want to say 18 games over 36 days. So they're pretty much playing every other day. Tampa's off for 9 days. You could clearly see in game 1 that once Tampa tied it at 2-2, you're like, okay, I figured the first game they'd get their legs in, 10 minutes in, that's what they're going to need. They were able to answer those 2 goals pretty quickly, except they couldn't do it after because the time off, the gameplay. Your legs are just not there because you're not playing at game speed. And you could clearly see that the Lightning are tired. They're slow. I give credit to the Rangers for just continuing to push the pace and push the pace and push the pace. Now, the Champs did look better in the third period, and that's got to be something the Rangers have to be worried about because they started to take it to them. Nick Paul goal. And towards the end, Shesterkin had to make some big saves. And a couple of big blocks, but the Rangers are playing good defensively in front of him, so that's good.
It's funny you mentioned the kid line. I saw a stat, and you probably know better because I didn't pull it up when I was trying to reference it at the top of the show. I saw a stat the other day that players under 22 years of age in this Stanley Cup playoff, the Rangers have got 32 goals from players under 22, and the next closest team, I think, was at least 10 behind. Maybe it's more. Did you see that stat?
Yeah, I did. I mean, think about it. The oldest guy on the team, I believe, one of the oldest guys on the team is Jacob Trouba. Everybody else is 25 and under. That's how young this team is. Gallant has said numerous times, he's I think I heard a quote the other day. He was saying about if he was worried about the kid line going to the Pittsburgh. He's yeah, I was, but I wasn't telling you guys that. Right. But now he's yeah, this team's future is bright. But he's also said the near future is bright too. And that's the attitude this Rangers team has. I mean, look, they're very confident in what they're doing right now. They have a lot of mojo going, and they believe that they can win and they can beat anybody. And that's a lot of confidence right now for a team. And it comes from the head coach. It comes, when you have Igor Shesterkin playing the way he's playing, obviously you're going to mail him the Vezina trophy. He was the lock to win it. But the question to me is, there's a reason why he was nominated for the Hart Trophy as MVP of the league. Most valuable player to his team. Nothing against Connor, nothing against Austin. You take this guy off this team, I don't know if they're there. And I will say this, Gerard Gallant is the right coach for this team because, yes, he didn't win Coach of the Year. I think Daryl Sutter won it. Even Daryl said Gallant should get it. Gallant won it when he was in Vegas, but he's doing a better job now than he did when he was in Vegas. And you're telling me a different coach for this team has this Rangers team in this position? I don't think so. I think he's pushing all the right buttons.
Yeah.
The big guys are stepping up. Mika, Panarin, Kreider, Vetrano, all the additions, Kopp, Mott, all those guys are doing great stuff right now. And they're just playing with a level of confidence right now. Now, again, the champs going home game 3 this afternoon. We'll see what happens here. But, I expect the Lightning to play a lot better.
Yeah, even Panarin's gotten himself involved a little bit in this series, a little more than he had been before. So that's good to see. If he can contribute something going forward, that'd be helpful as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know you had a goal in game 1, but it's always been overshadowed by like guys like Mika and Kreider and Vetrano, guys like that, and especially the kid line. And the Rangers are doing what they have to do. Their defense, Fox, Miller, Schneider, all those guys are playing really well. Trouba's hitting people. The couple of watchers on that Nick Paul goal. They were just sipping a coffee or whatever they were doing because he was able to just get in and around. It was a nice goal. But yeah, Tampa's going to come out with a different attitude. They definitely can clear their missing Braden Point. But they could play defensively better. But give credit to the Rangers cycle game for throwing their defense off. I mean, Tampa is so solid, but when you're moving and you're cycling, guys are out of position. Guys are turning heads. They're not sure where the pucks are coming from, and that allows players to get in through the back door and sit on the goal mouth like we saw with the Cackle goal to end the first period.
Yeah, we talk about it a lot. It sounds like a cliche, but it's really true. The series really doesn't start till the home team loses, so we'll find out. Where are we tonight?
This afternoon.
This afternoon. Good. Turn out a little hockey this afternoon out here in this beautiful day.
I would prefer it to be at 8:00 on a Sunday.
Yeah, but they're not going to go up against the NBA playoffs, I'm sure. That's probably why they scheduled in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Great. Let's get to a couple comments here before we move on. Carlos talks about Keiko and
Hito.
Yeah, I'm terrible with some of these names. Playing well, they are. Billy says, who wrote off the Rangers? Good morning, Billy, by the way. Good to have you with us this morning. And Alan, I saw you pop in. Good morning to you. I maybe some of the press wrote off the Rangers. I don't think I did or you did in any of our conversations whenever they were down in these series. We certainly pointed out some things they had to shore up, but I don't think anybody counted them out.
I don't think anybody expected this to be this type of run. I know, well, if you look at some of the publications, they had the Rangers finishing 6th in the Metro Division, which I don't understand because, like I said, the trajectory of this team heading into this season said that this team was a playoff team and they were going to take the next step to be a playoff team. And as I said numerous times, it was on Dolan it was playoffs or bust because of the moves that he made in the offseason. The move he made was to put Chris Drury in as general manager. He's done a great job, the additions that he's made. But don't forget, Gallant, like we saw with Brisebois last year, with Tampa the last couple of years, he's added to the players that were already put there by the previous administration and previous management. So that's Gordon, that's Davidson. And you have to give them credit for drafting and developing the guys that are on the team right now. Because without those guys, I don't know if team is here. To me, when they got to the playoffs and they matched up with Pittsburgh, I thought they were going to be Pittsburgh, and they did. It took them 7 games to do it, but they did. Granted, Pittsburgh can't hold leads, but it doesn't matter. You beat who's in front of you, and they did. When Game 6 came with Carolina, and I knew Carolina was going to lose Game 6, and I said to somebody, I said, I have more confidence in the Rangers going into Carolina than I do have Carolina going into New York to win a game. Look what happened. Now they're just carrying the momentum over and over and over. Again, it's in Madison Square Garden, 8 straight wins. Shesterkin, 8 straight wins on home ice. He has a .940 save percentage at home in these 8 games. So he's playing really, really well. We'll see what happens. So it's good to see that the Rangers are carrying this confidence.
Yeah. Big game. I think this is a huge listen. I mean, they got a 2-0 lead. This is a big game for the Rangers. I think they need to keep that momentum going and keep, when you got your foot on their throat, now you got because the champs, you can't let them back up off the mat here. You got to really, I think you got to win today and really put them on the spot. I think don't let them back in there. Don't give them some confidence today. This is kind of a long thing. I know Mac and Jack were debating hockey players weren't recognized because of the helmets. We talk about the same thing in football. I mean, you certainly got to play with the helmets. So there's not much you can do. But he talks about, speaking of the anthem, how about the guy singing at the Rangers game? He had the crowd rocking. I did see that myself.
Yeah, I mean, I know the guy who sings the anthem at the Garden is doing a good job. People are into it. But it's Madison Square Garden. It's the Stanley Cup Playoffs, and it's conference final.
Yeah.
It's going to be electric because it's the Rangers. It's an original 6 team. Original 6 hockey sells. Doesn't matter if we have 32 teams because it just does their original franchise.
Well, I'm glad to see Carlos admitting that he didn't want Gallant hired and not backing up on this. But St. Louis, he did want to coach, and now he's coaching the Canadians, which we can talk about in a second. But let me finish up with these. And he doesn't see Trotz coaching again. He'll be coaching before the summer's out for sure.
Yeah.
So far, this broken clock has been right on a firing a Perry. If you say it, if you say something enough times, Carlos, it's going to come true. So I don't know that I'm going to give you that much credit for that. Especially since it's a mistake. I mean, geez, good grief.
It could be a mistake. We don't know. We haven't seen them play yet. All I know is that the Islanders better not get older. They better get younger. And Lou better get off his internal salary cap and pay players because that was the issue when he was with New Jersey.
Good point. Sure, he did very well picking up players in the last day of free agency. So we talked about the players he's brought in and the great job he did, remaking this team. I think he did a great job, obviously. And again, as we said, making the call into coach was maybe the most important thing of all. So
and he brought in the right type of players because you heard at the end of last year they needed to be more physical. They wanted to play with a little bit more of an edge. They were getting pushed around too much. Well, guess what? They're pushing people around now. And they didn't want to get pushed around. Outside of the fact that I will say the National Hockey League doesn't want Pat Maroon and Ryan Reeves to drop the mitts because just let it get them out of their system. Guys, stop jumping in the minute these two guys are talking and whatever. Yeah. Just let them go, and then it'll be done. Just let them go.
Yeah, that's funny that they let them build up their frustrations that way until something really major happens. If they just let them get their frustrations out, they'd be done.
5 minutes each for fighting. Done. All right, we're out.
Yeah, good point. Let's move on to the Avalanche series. They've taken a 3-0 lead in that series. Obviously, in great command. You had an article. You had an article here on full, and I didn't give you your props at the top. I apologize. Jim obviously writes for fullpresshockey.com. He's got an article just yesterday, I think, right, about Colorado's cadre not being afraid of big moments. This team has played very well, and they're going to be a tough out for anybody when they get to the final. So what are your thoughts on this series and a little bit about the article you wrote about Kadri?
Yeah, I mean, Kadri, one of their better players. It's unfortunate that he's probably lost for the rest of the series after a bad hit last night in Game 3. Evander Kane cross-checked him from behind, and he went hard into the boards. Kane was called for 5-minute major for boarding. Most likely a suspension will be coming because that's not so Kadri's lost is most likely lost for the rest of the Western Conference Final and potentially the rest of the playoffs.
Big loss.
That's a big loss for the Colorado because their depth down the middle is now being, put to the test. I mean, JT Compher stepped up huge in Game 3 for Colorado. Nate McKinnon, obviously, they're doing the thing on the top line. Valerie Nichushkin stepped up. But the story to me is Pavel Francouz between the pipes for Colorado. For whatever reason, Colorado plays better defensively in front of Francouz than they do in Kemper. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. But they're playing better defensive hockey in Francouz. Do they not trust them? I don't know. But Francouz has come up with a lot of big saves over these last 2 games for Colorado. And to me, I don't care if Kemper's healthy. You ride the hot goalie to the end until he's not good anymore. yes, it was a cheap shot by Kane. There was no necessary to cross-check the guy from behind. You're taught from a young age, do not, whatever you do when a guy's numbers or you don't cross-check him.
Mhm.
That's a cheap play. It's a dirty play. Kane should be suspended for that. But Colorado, again, McDavid opens the scoring, 30 seconds in. Not a problem. The issue was the penalty. They didn't score. Mike Smith looked good. The Oilers wasted a good Mike Smith game. He had a nice bounce
Yeah.
back game. He didn't look great in the first 2 games. He got pulled in game 1. Colorado behind Kadri in game 2, 3 primary assists in 2 minutes and 4 seconds. That's all she wrote. That was the game. And then last night it was pretty much back and forth. Game tied at 2. Bouchard hits the post on a power play. See it all the time. JT Compher comes out of the box, and then, bam, in the net. He wins the puck battle. Bad goal by Mike Smith. Got to stop that going 5-hole. And that was all she wrote, and that's the series, folks. I mean, if Edmonton gets 1 game, they'll be lucky. Colorado has been excellent. They're locked in. They've learned from their past years where they couldn't get over the hump. Now they know what it takes to win. They're blocking shots. They're playing good defensive, similar to what the Rangers are doing at Tampa, similar to what Tampa's done. They have so many weapons. It's so hard to stop them.
Carlos says it laughing a bit jokingly, and I do think it's a little bit much to compare them to the Sakic, Forsberg, Roy teams or Watt teams. Excuse me. Do you think they're anywhere close to that level?
Talent-wise, they're close to that level. They are, but those teams were ridiculous. I mean, because Patrick Watt sends those teams over the top. I mean, that's a Hall of Fame goalie. I don't think Pavel Francouz and Darcy Kemper are going to the Hall of Fame.
Kane being missed in Chicago.
He wasn't. Evander Kane never played for the Chicago Blackhawks. He's thinking of Patrick Kane.
Yeah, Patrick Kane. That's what I thought.
But going to goaltending, right? I heard the comparison. So going back real quick, Ranger series, the kid line, right? That reminds a lot of people of the Oilers kid line in the 1990s that had Adam Graves on it. And they just weren't afraid of the big time. They just did it, and they allowed the Oilers' other lines to open up things. And they were saying like Shesterkin, the way he's playing right now, reminds a lot of people of '86 Patrick Waugh when he came into the league, and he didn't care. Or 90, I'm sorry, not in '86, '93 with the Canadians, where he was just locked in, with the winks and everything. So, when you have a hot goalie, and it gives confidence to the rest of the team. And right now you can see it even with Francouz. Colorado is playing better in front of him, and that's a good thing for the Avalanche as they go up 3-0.
Any chance? And again, I said I mentioned
no.
I knew I was going to ask.
No.
I said early or before the series started last weekend that I thought the Oilers' chances probably late on Mike Smith. If you got the good Mike Smith, they might have a chance, but with the bad Mike Smith, they got no chance.
Colorado's exposing Mike Smith to who he is, a 41-year-old mediocre goaltender.
Yeah.
If Calgary had done the same thing, we'd be talking about Calgary and Colorado, not Edmonton. So Leon Draisaitl's definitely hurt. Nate McKinnon, kind of questionable cheap shot last night with taking out his leg, hurting him even more. Didn't like that. He was laboring good on Draisaitl, staying in the game, but he's not the same player right now. And yeah, Colorado's just so deep, too good. But they're going to be put to the test with no Nazem Kadri for a bit, and it's a shame because he's having a great playoff. Last couple of times he's been suspended. Now he gets hurt. It's a shame because this guy's a big time. This guy loves the bright lights of the playoffs, and he's not shy away from the big moments. Yeah, he plays with an edge, but you know what? You need those guys this time of year.
Yeah, it would be a shame if he didn't get to see the spotlight of the finals. I hope he can recover in time. Back to the Rangers real quick. Your prediction for the rest of the series? How can I know they can get back in the series? Do you see them getting back in? And I think it's going to be like a 5-game series myself.
Yeah, I think Tampa's going to get 1 or 2, but I think the way New York's playing right now, they have their number. unless Tampa can turn it around similar to what they did against Toronto and start finding their game again. We could be looking at a Colorado Rangers series.
Well, it sounds like a good one. I would think the networks would like that as well. It sounds like a really good matchup, and you get that New York market. That's always important as well. So,
yeah.
Before we let you go, your thoughts on the St. Louis hiring in Montreal? He's got his work cut out for him up there, obviously.
Yeah, you know what? I like the hiring because it was a good one when they decided to make the switch in February. Yes, the record is not what it, a lot of people thought it was going to be, but the Canadians are a bad team. No Carey Price, no Shea Weber. They made some trades, and one of the guys they sent to Colorado, Arturi Lehkonen, is having a great series for Colorado. But he's the right coach for the young team. He's allowing these guys to have fun. There's energy now. He's bringing a different perspective to the game. He's allowing Caulfield and Suzuki and the young guys to use their talent more. He's not stifling their development. He knows what it's like to be a young guy in the league. And it's going to be, it's going to take some time, but everything hinges on what Carey Price does. They're definitely going to have to look into goaltending because it's going to be tough for him to come back. But I like the fit. 3 years, it's good for him. It all came down to his wife, and his wife said, yeah, it's the Montreal Canadiens. Why wouldn't you want to do it? So it's a good fit for everybody. I think it's just a perfect fit for this team. They showed signs of life this year. They played better structurally. He's got them playing better defensively. Yeah, they didn't win. The record was what it was. But you know what? Hey, he's the right coach for this team.
Perfect. What else? Anything else in the league we should know about before we let you go? We should look forward to in the next week or so.
We'll see. Well, the Stanley Cup final does not start till June 18th. So, if these series wrap up, over the next several days, there's going to be some time off for these teams. So
that's kind of bad for the league. You kind of lose momentum, viewership wise and engagement from the audience. I would think if you had that.
Yeah, I think they're trying to be the only one on TV.
Yeah.
And try to avoid the NBA finals.
Yeah. And get the night and be able to play at night, unlike the Rangers.
Yeah, exactly.
Today, right. That's a good point. Good point. All right, Jim. Well, thanks for coming in today. Enjoy your Sunday. I love your insight as always. You bring the best hockey insight that we could find out there. So I appreciate that every week.
Appreciate that.
And keep it going. I love your stuff on Full Press Hockey too. Great stuff. And you can catch Jim on The Last Word on Hockey on Mad Radio Network as well. Don't forget to check that out. I didn't get a chance to share your show. I'll try to remember to get in there and share it from yesterday.
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, it was a good show, fun show. And yeah, just keep it posted because Stanley Cup playoffs, continue to roll. Games 3 today for Tampa and Rangers. It's going to have, if you thought it was loud in Carolina for the Rangers, this could be a quasi home game for Rangers fans too. Down in Tampa.
Point. Actually, that's a great point. There's a lot of transplanted New Yorkers in that part of Florida for sure.
Yeah, so that's one they're going to be interested to see, and I want to see if Edmonton can get a game on Monday night. I'm not too hopeful, but I think it would be, if there's one game they're going to win, it's Game 4. But you never know.
Good stuff, Jim. We'll have you next Sunday, and we'll probably be talking about the final matchup by then, I would think.
I would think so.
All right. Well, see you then. Have a great Sunday.
All right, you too. Bye.
All right, bye-bye. The great Jim Biringer from FullPressHockey.com, as I said, and The Last Word on Hockey on the Mad Radio Network. So thanks for coming in, guys. I missed a couple. Good morning. Good morning, Stephen Gold. Good to have you here. Check out Stephen's sites, by the way. Stephen, feel free to post them in the comments here, and I'll put them up. Stephen runs some ABA American Basketball Association sites and just has a brand new group. I shouldn't say sites, groups on Facebook. Dedicated. He's got a new one dedicated to just Dr. J. So, and good stuff, guys. If you're of a certain age, man, and you watch the ABA like I did, where you could. If you had cable at the right time upstate here, if you could watch the Nets and some other HBO, I think carried some games early on in their existence. Stephen has some great stuff. So good morning to you, Stephen. Good to have you with us. Alan, I don't think the College World Series has a whole lot to do with them delaying the finals. I know ESPN is carrying the College World Series, which Wake Forest lost, by the way, too. So we may be able to get Larry Sorensen on soon, because I'm sure his time is freeing up a little bit with Wake Forest, I believe, being out. Rick, I'm not sure what that means. How about Buck letting, that's a very interesting point. I saw the story today. I didn't get a chance to read about it. And I believe you're talking about Robert being able to pitch for the White Sox. So I'm not really sure what went on there. Maybe we can talk about it a little bit, because I did not get a chance to read the article. University of Tennessee is killing it so far in the College World Series. Well, you got to be good at something. No, I shouldn't say that. Tennessee's obviously got a good college sports program. Very good in basketball, very good in baseball. They've had a good, I think they've had a pretty good history in baseball as well. So anyway, guys, we're going to take a quick break. Don't go away. I do want to talk about the Dream Ride experience. Don't forget that on August 26th, we're a big sponsor. When I say we, I mean Northeast Streaming Sports, of the Dream Ride experience in Farmington, Connecticut, which raises a lot of money for the Home Front Foundation. And if I can find my little promo, we're going to run it right now, which maybe we aren't, because I can't seem to. It's funny. It's a little harder to navigate. There we go. So I'm going to play this real quick. I'll be back in 30 seconds, and we're going to talk Major League Baseball. Lots of stories going on.
The Hometown Foundation is excited to bring back the Dream Ride experience, August 26th to the 28th at Connecticut's Farmington Polo Club. Join us in celebrating the accomplishments of our Dream Riders while enjoying live music, a car and motorcycle show, family fun zone, pet adoptions, canine demonstrations, the Fireman's Chili Cook-Off, and much, much more. Get your tickets today.
All right, so a great cause, guys, and make sure that you, if you can, get a chance to take a ride out there. As I said, I might go out there that Saturday. It kind of depends on the weather and some other stuff. So let's see, we got a few other comments here. SEC elitists, I know. You and John DeLon from my college football show are my resident SEC elitist. Stands more it holds up better in football than it does in other sports, I think, but whatever. Listen, the women has been an exciting series, or I should say a college World Series. It's called the same thing as the baseball, right? It's been kind of exciting. I watched some bits and pieces of games. These girls are really girls. I don't mean any offense, by the way, when I say girls or women. I can't worry about what I say. So yeah, it is exciting. So let's jump into Major League Baseball, guys. Some big stories. We'll take a look around the league, but we're going to start with Joe Girardi getting fired this week in Philadelphia. I've been saying for a long time, I know Carlos will say it's not his fault. And maybe it's not. But, the fact of the matter is this team is 7 games under 500, like 12 and a half games out of first, or at least they were when he got fired. It's so hard because I can't see my, there we go. It gets hard. I like being outside, but it's harder to see the screens, obviously. So, Joe Girardi gets fired with the team not playing well. Lots of money invested in his team. Dombrowski put together a team that, it's flawed. It's flawed with pitching. It's flawed with it's the worst defensive team in baseball by far. And they're not scoring runs at a pace where they can outscore that defense. And when management spends that much money and has gotten such poor results after finishing poorly last year, being in the race, they've been in the race the last couple of years, but fade at the end. And Joe Girardi being as tight as he is, and he's not a good fit for the city of Philadelphia. He just isn't. So I've said that for the longest time. And when that happens, the manager's going to take the fall. Now, I say a lot of times, that's not always the best case. I get on Carlos for wanting to have every manager fired, but sometimes guys have to go. And if the Phillies are going to have any chance to turn this around, which I don't think they can, They needed a different voice. And I'll tell you what, Rob Thompson's a good choice. Rob Thompson's more of a player's guy. Longtime coach with the Yankees under Joe Girardi. Interviewed for the job before Aaron Boone got it in 2017, I believe. And I think, and a longtime baseball guy. And I think Rob Thompson is a kind of even keel. Listen, Girardi just is too tight. And I just think it's a really good opportunity here for this team. Maybe to get a different voice and for players to kind of loosen up a little bit. As soon as the players last week started talking about the atmosphere in the clubhouse and guys aren't having fun, Joe Girardi was a dead man walking. It was that's just the way it goes. And, did Philly quit on him? It's possible, Rick. Again, as I said, I said that the papers were full of stories with players talking about how they weren't having fun. And, but again, part of this is the way Girardi is wound tight. And there's certain teams and cities, by the way, this was a move that was made to appease the fan base in Philadelphia. Joe Girardi's not the kind of guy that fits there very well, I don't think. And look, I'm on the flip side, I'm really happy to see Rob Thompson get a chance. He's going to get the rest of this year. Hopefully he can get that team because I like him. I liked him a lot. I would not have had a problem with Rob Thompson getting that job with the Yankees in 2017. And I think he's well overdue for a chance to manage a team in the major leagues. And if he does well here, and well's a relative term, right? I'm not saying he's got to win the division or even get to the playoffs. He's just got to get this team playing better, and he may get a chance to manage it beyond this year. They have a lot of star power, and they're underperforming. You can't have that many power hitters on a team and expect not to have some issues. Well, you also can't have that many defensive deficiencies, Alan. The team has issues in the infield defensively. And Girardi, by the way, relied too much on the veterans again, way too much. Last year, down the stretch, he was playing Reyes, I believe. I can't remember the guy's name now from the Yankees. He loved him from when he was with the Yankees, utility guy. He's playing him over some better options at third base. But this defense is really atrocious, and with Harper having the DH, you got two guys playing the outfield in Schwarber and Castellano, who should not be playing defense at all. They're both DHs, and you can't play them at DH because that's where Harper's got to play. And yes, the star power and spending the money, when they underperform, the manager pays the price almost every time. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it goes. But Girardi has no pitching now because he has no job. And again, yes, Dave Dombrowski put this team together. And he may pay for this with his job before this is all said and done as well. But that remains to be seen. If he makes the right call and Rob Thompson can right the ship here a little bit, and then they play good baseball from here on out, or better baseball from here on out, I do think they've got to think what they've done with this team. They thought they were going to out-hit their pitching and out-hit their defensive issues. And again, you got home run hitters, but you got a dead ball era starting as well. So if you don't change your approach to the game, which falls on the managers and the coaches as much as it does the players, I'm sorry, it just does. If you can't coach guys, I understand we're at the major league level, and your teaching is less of a priority. But listen, you got to coach them up a little bit. And there are some people in the game that are starting to get it, and they're starting to do the right things and hit the ball the other way and go against the shifts and not trying to hit through them and over them the entire time. And that's only going to be good for baseball. So this dead ball era that everybody likes to talk about, I really don't care. I really don't care. If you think baseball's boring being played at 2-1, then you shouldn't be watching baseball. You should be watching lacrosse or something where there's a bunch of scoring. The Rangers absolutely had that issue in the mid-90s, right? They put together all kinds of and bad chemistry besides when A-Rod was there and whatnot. Real Multi's suffering. He's probably the one good defensive player on the whole team. And he's not hitting either. And that's probably a result of everything going on around him. And look at, again, the manager is responsible for the culture and the attitude on the team. And that's why Joe Girardi's getting fired. Because as much as Buck Showalter's had a great effect on the culture and the approach for the New York Mets up till now, Joe Girardi has had the opposite effect on the Phillies. And that's, again, why he doesn't have a job today. And it's kind of ironic that the Phillies job, when Joe Girardi got it, came down to three guys. It came down to Girardi, Buck, Showalter, and Dusty Baker. You tell me who made the right choice here. Now, I'm not saying maybe Buck, whoops, sorry about that. Maybe Buck wouldn't do any better or Dusty with this team. But they certainly didn't make the right call based on their record. So is that all on Girardi? No. But look at, unless you're firing your president, your GM, the manager's always the first to go. Almost always the first to go. Well, it could be the Angels right now. Yes, the Angels are in a bad little run here. What have they lost now? Oh, excuse me. By the way, the Angels, whoops. God darn it. I really wish I had a touchscreen up here so I could see what the hell was going on. I keep losing my page because I can't see what the hell I'm doing. The Angels now have lost 10 in a row. So they're one of the bad stories in baseball as well as the Phillies. I don't know if that makes it any better. I mean, their record is still, as I look at it, they're still at 500. So they didn't fall to 7 games under. They'll right the ship. I still think the Angels are a playoff team. They need pitching. Oh, there you go. He doesn't need that pitching. Oh, you're talking about Riamolto? I don't know. Again, we got to put all kinds of electronics and try to hide signals. And I mean, it's ridiculous. Just play the game. We don't need all this technology in the game. Do we need all this technology in any sports? Gosh, and whatever it is gets bastardized and isn't used the way it's supposed to be used, right? Look at instant replay, especially in baseball. Slows the game down. It's being used for things that it's not supposed to be used for. It's meant to overturn, egregious plays, not bang bang plays or little plays where a guy slides into second base and his hand or foot comes off the bag for a millisecond. And we call them out. That's not what it's put in there for. So again, technology is ruining our sports. I'm okay with the human factor. I'm okay with blown calls. Now, I'm not a St. Louis Cardinal fan, so I'm not all bent out of shape when they lose the 85 World Series on a blown call at first base. Or I'm not a Tiger fan and I get upset when Galarraga lost that perfect game on a bad call. But the human factor, I mean, why is it any different than with the players? I don't know. The birds singing? Yeah, it is nice. It's not even piped in. It's real birds. So they've shut up now, though. I like the birds. I like being out here. It's a beautiful day, too. Not a bit of wind, so we don't have that to deal with. I like getting out of the studio on these beautiful summer days, and I'll be out here as much as I can now till, October. Perez, your boy's on the mound today. You know what, Alan? I'm not a believer yet, but your Rangers 6-4 in the last 10, and now they've now pulled within a couple of, well, I think they might have gotten to 500, didn't they? I'm not sure. They might have fallen backwards. But 8.5 out of games out of first. I'm not looking at the wild card yet, but there definitely could be they could be a sleeper, given the struggles of some other teams that we thought would be in play for the wild card. The Rangers could be a sleeper. I mean, I don't think it's a no-brainer, because I told you pitching was their problem, right? And pitching has been their strength. They haven't hit the ball as well as they thought they would. You know, Simeon hasn't played all that well. He's playing better now. Seager's been up and down. Calhoun's most likely their best offensive player right now, right? So where we thought they were going to be, you know, another team that scored a bunch of runs and the pitching wouldn't be that good, you know, you have a couple guys come out of nowhere and good for them so far. Long way to go. Let's get to the 4th of July. Let's see where we're at. Couple games below, but second in the West. Right. And again, I don't think you're winning the West. I don't think you're chasing down the Astros. The Astros aren't hitting a lot. I think they're hitting. It's funny. The Astros, during most of this last decade, had been really good in the important offensive categories, to me anyway. Batting average, on-base percentage, slugging percentage, which leads to OPS, right? Which is important. New age stat, but I think that is the one new age analytic that I like, because it takes two of the others into account. But they're hitting about 228 as a team and still playing really good baseball. They're getting good and great defense. Hang on one second. No, that's just, I want to make sure I'm trying to get Mancini, make sure he comes on video if he can, because I feel like when he's on an audio, we lose the participation of you guys, and I don't want that. So we're going to have to make some adjustments there. Anyway, back to Major League Baseball. Let me get back to your comments here a little bit. And hold on, I'm stuck on my oh my God, the hell with it. I guess we're all right. I got a few things, other things to talk about when it comes to We'll probably stay on Major League Baseball through much of this next half hour. What time we got? 9:52. Let's see. What do you guys got? We'll certainly let you guys. I think Alan had put this up before. I probably missed it. It says Carlos has got the Mets finally get hits on the Dodgers pitching. Listen, this is a big swing for the Mets. The Mets have got some. Well, the games against the Angels don't look quite as daunting as they could be. The Mets are on their first really big road trip of the year, where they're playing out on the West Coast. They've got the Dodgers, they've got the Padres, they got the Angels, and I think in the next few weeks they got some other teams out west as well. This is going to be a good test, a good litmus test for the Mets. And it was kind of impressive the way they were playing leading up to this trip. They knew they had this trip coming up. The press had been all over this trip and how it was going to be an important trip to gauge how good the Mets were. But the Mets were, and again, this is the Buck approach. The Mets just took each day as it came. The only important game was the game you're playing today. And again, that's a tribute to Buck and the way he's changed the culture there. They're not looking ahead to the Dodgers. They're not looking ahead to the Padres or this entire road trip. They're playing the teams that are in front of them. And for those people who, and it's happened in the press in some areas where people have gotten on the Mets and saying, the record is a product of the schedule they've played. Look it. You can only play the teams that are on your schedule, and everybody's going to play these teams before the year's out. The schedule's fairly balanced. The interleague play changes it a little bit, but depending on how good teams are from year to year. Here's a nice little bug trying to get in my coffee. Get out of here. But the Mets have done what they need to do. Good teams beat the teams they're supposed to beat and hold their own against the best in the league. That's how you make the playoffs. That's how you get to a chance to win games. Good morning, Kenny Gifford. Up a little late this morning, are you? Again, thanks to Kenny. Had a great time yesterday playing in the golf tournament with him and some others. We had an awesome time. As always, when I get up in that area, I see some people that I know well, and I don't get a chance to see a lot of. Some of them I haven't seen in years. In fact, before I played golf with Kenny, even though we've went to the same school and played fast pitch softball together for many years, I hadn't seen Kenny in about 30 years, maybe 25. I can't do math very well, so because I'm from Perth. That's one of the great things I think about my show. And Kenny and I were talking about it. It's done two things. It's gotten some people that were good friends and years ago, Kenny, Rick, Dave Traver, who's been here a few times, and people have reconnected through the show, and I'm really happy about that. And we've made some new friends like Alan and Carlos and again, not to leave anybody out, Stephen Gold, some other guys that are great contributors to the show. So we've enjoyed all of that input. So that's awesome. Let's move on to some other questions here. Pete, listen, Lindor is starting to rebound, and I had him as an outside MVP contender this year. And the team is starting to hit. I mean, one of the things they were doing well in approaching the game and getting big hits. Hitting well in certain situations. Overall, the hitting had not been doing well. The pitching's been very good, and they've done a great job in this first few weeks without, DeGrom since the beginning of the season, but then losing Scherzer as well. They've done a very good job extending their lead, I think. So, good job. Especially their bullpen. We're back to, I believe, the Texas Rangers. Their bullpen has kept them in games for sure. Not to mention guys like Glenn Otto and Dwayne Dunning have had strong quality starts. Listen, this team, again, as I said, I did not expect the pitching to be as good as it is. Now, one thing with pitching, Alan, you don't win pennants or and again, they're not in a position right now to even be in the playoffs, but you don't get a playoff berth and you don't win championships in the first quarter of the season, but you can lose them. And the Rangers have done a good job of not taking themselves out of this race early on like some other teams have. Carlos, we did talk about you yesterday that I thought I might have had you convinced that there were many bodies buried up there on the compound on the mountain where Kenny lives, but it's not true. We're just kidding you, I think. Broken clock might get to 100 wins. Oh, what's the broken clock this time? This time I lost your reference, Carlos. Are we talking about the Mets? Yeah, I wouldn't. The Mets have a shot at 100 wins, which would be really good, by the way. I think they're over under. I'd have to look back at my notes. I don't have them with me. I've been keeping my baseball notes with me most of the time. I don't think I have them. Let me see. I think the Mets were in the 80s. I did take them over. I took the Phillies over too, by the way, and I had the Phillies in the playoffs. The Phillies, Braves, and Mets all in the playoffs. I don't have my baseball notes with me. So a couple of those teams are letting me down. Yeah. Again, another guy whose name I can't say. If I hear it, I can say it for a while, then I forget what I heard. So he is using he has had some big hits for the Mets. And the Mets bench, a bit overlooked. And it's guys like Luis, who I'll say his first name, who led to Dom Smith getting sent down. Dominic Smith, who had a kind of a breakout year last year with the Mets, has really regressed this year. I think he was hitting a $185, which is higher than Joey Gallo. And I'm sure his numbers are probably better than Joey Gallo's, which gives you a little idea of the differences between these two approaches. We'll get onto that in a little bit. But I think Dom Smith pays the price for some of these guys playing very well. Oh, God, I don't even want to talk about it. You're not going to get me to talk about that trade because all I'll do is I'll be sick on the air. That would not be good. Luis, that's what I said. He is hitting over 300. You know what? And he's one of the guys. We go back to this whole conversation about the dead ball dead ball era. I don't know what they've done to the ball. I don't care. It's guys like him and that are taking advantage of that, and without having to necessarily change their whole approach to the game. You put the ball in play and put it in play where people aren't, you kind of succeed and get base hits. Smith will be back, but where's he going to play? Where's he going to play on this team? Given the Mets pitching issues, they probably should have made the trade, and Hosner's played pretty well. I'm not sure where he would have played with the Mets. I guess DH. They probably should have pulled the trigger on that trade with the Padres early in the year. They would have had Paddock, who has the ability to be a really good pitcher, and they would have had Hosner. And I think it would have been a good trade for both sides. And Steve Cohen pulled the plug on it because I think basically he didn't want to take on Hosner's contract. Josh Smith is on a DL, unfortunately, and he's done well in his first few. Yeah, he did do well. Got to stay healthy in this league, though, man. All kidding aside, for Carlos, sounds like a great event you attend, and hopefully it pays off for you and your family. Carlos, I did see your comments about you had some offers, and I didn't know that you were there looking for a job opportunity. So I really do hope it's something that pays off for you. And it sounds like you've got an offer that you're considering. So good luck with that. Yes, agreed. Smith is okay on the. I don't know. He's a good player. I do think Dom Smith would be better off getting traded, though, for his career. Because the guy's being wasted, I think, on the bench with the Mets. And he doesn't really have a position. He's kind of a liability in the outfield. He could DH, of course. They're not going to play him over Alonso at first because I don't think he's a better defensive player than Alonso. In all fairness, left field is a weakness in Texas right now, so we could use another good outfielder. We got one I'd be happy to send you, Carl. What's your name? Alan. He hits left-handed. He's got some great power, strikes out a little bit. Not going to hit for a very high average, but I'll be happy to send him your way, I'm going to get to it's funny you put that up. I wanted to go there, but the Pee Wee flag, you're just going to fire yourself, Carlos, if you get that job. So listen, let's switch. So Alan brings up that the Rangers are looking for an outfielder, and Miguel Andahar, as you may know, got sent down by the Yankees the other day and demanded a trade. This isn't new news, by the way. He demanded a trade the end of last season. So he just reiterated his request. The Yankees should not be trading him. Could the Rangers use him? Absolutely. Is Miguel Andahar a great outfielder? No. Is he as good an outfielder as Joey Gallo? No. Is he as good an outfielder as Aaron Hicks? No. But these guys are not just holes in a lineup, they're black holes in the lineup. And I'm not trading. If it's me, I'm not trading Andahar. And if it's me, I'm not sending him down. I mean, I'll be honest with you. If Gallo or Hicks had any options, they might have gone down. Andahar, he hasn't played awful. He hasn't played great, but he's played better than those two guys. Is he a bit of a liability in the outfield? Yeah, but he's still learning on the job. And I'm confident he can do a competent job defensively in left field. And if you give him regular at-bats, and the Yankees were starting to do that, and he was starting to get look better at the plate, this guy gets 500 at-bats. He's a doubles machine, this guy. Jack Hirsch had a great line when I brought that up on the Mac and Jack show this morning, that he's a doubles machine both on offense and defense. So it was a very good line. I got to give Jack credit for that. But, the Yankees need to rethink what's going on in their outfield. Again, I'm not taking, for you Yankee fans out there, I said this on, Friday's show and some other comments that I've had on other shows and vlogs and whatnot. I'm not saying the Yankees aren't doing well. The Yankees are playing great baseball. The pitching staff has been tremendous. But with the lack of offense overall that you're going to get out of catcher and shortstop, you're not going to get – these guys aren't going to hit a bunch of home runs, drive in a bunch of runs. They've had some good hits, Falafa and Trevino specifically, and done very well defensively, giving the Yankees exactly what they need out of those positions. But I can't expect a lot of offense out of those two positions. And this is where I couldn't get through to Mac the last couple times we talked about this. He says every team has holes in their lineup. You can't have 4 holes in your lineup. You can't expect your starting pitching to pitch this well every game out, and you can't expect Judge and Stanton to carry the team for the entire season. You can't have 4 holes in your lineup. You can't have left field and center field be a hole night in and night out. So they got to address that. And again, if it's me, I'm playing Andahar in left field, and I'm going out and making a trade for a center fielder. And please don't tell me about Gardy. I don't want to hear about Gardy. I love Gardy to death, but Gardy's not the answer. His career is over. So, I mean, I don't know how they're going to move on from Hicks or Gallo. It's going to be a very difficult pill to swallow for them to just release them. They're probably untradeable with those contracts unless you're going to eat a bunch of the money, which the Yankees probably would be unwilling to do. But the Yankees have to make a move. It's going to hurt them at some point. Having these two guys not just be a hole in a lineup, but be a black hole in this lineup. Let me get to some more comments here. Where am I? Oh, we got way back here. Titans career fair was nice. It was a big turnout again. I wish you a lot of luck there, Carlos, for sure. We'll talk more about it. Kenny, I saw Buck Showalter showing off his knowledge of the rules yesterday. He did. That's, again, it's something else Buck does very well. I got to see if I can find something on this. Hang on a second, guys. While we're talking about this. I saw the headline and I didn't. Oh, no, this is a different. Oh, yeah. Umpires bar Dave Robbins for playing. I read this wrong. I thought it was Robert from the Chicago White Sox. Oh, God. That's why I was all screwed up on this. Yeah, so I probably can't catch up on this right now. After position player, they agreed prior to the 20 season to outlaw using position players as pitchers in games with a deficit of 5 runs or fewer. So they changed this back after there were 90 pitching appearances in 2019 and 75 in 2018 by position players. The rule was changed in 2020, so that if the game was within 5 runs or less, they could not use a position player, which is where Buck called out this move. Ken, the value of knowing the rule book, right? Yanks need value for Andahar. I don't want to trade Andahar. They do need value for him. I'm not just giving him away. But what am I going to get for him if I trade him? He's more, to me, right? He's more valuable to the Yankees than is to somebody else, just because he really hasn't had a chance to do anything since 2018, since his injury. Well, first of all, Andahar, they're not dopey for playing him in the outfield. He doesn't really have a position. If you think Andahar's a good third baseman, then you didn't watch him throw the ball all over the freaking field. Here comes the wind a little bit. Even in his rookie year, great rookie year, he had some troubles at third base. So there's no reason Andahar cannot position to playing the outfield. And there's not a position for him in the infield right now. I will not tell you that I'm going to bench DJ for him. I can't bench Glaber right now because he's playing very well. He's getting close to the Glaber that we knew, and which I wasn't sure was going to happen in New York, but he's getting close to being there. And I'm not even sure that I would bench him for Donaldson, because Donaldson gives me better defense, and some decent pop. His numbers aren't great, but they're not awful either. Where are we here? We've basically been using an infielder, an outfielder, and Eli White. He has been too bad. We had a great HR robbery against Tampa last week, back to the Texans. He doesn't play second base, number one. He plays third base. I don't remember. You can show me the stats. I don't remember Andahar ever having any innings at second base with the Yankees. I could be wrong. And yes, his outfield play is so-so, but his infield play is so-so as well. He's no great guns on defense, Carlos. Very erratic with the arm, which you can get away with a little bit more with a guy like Rizzo at first base. But still, I can't set either one of the three guys that I'm talking about. Not when I got two guys I can sit in the outfield who are hitting 177 and 214 with a combined 6 home runs and 10 RBIs. Good morning, Rick, Kenny says. Phillies look like Swiss cheese. I'm not sure where we got back to the Phillies. Wow. Carlos, listen, you can never have too much pitching. I was all in favor of moving Torres. The pitching right now has shown to be the strength of the team. You look at the stats. You tell me what starter you would replace. And we talked about this morning. And I was worried about the Yankee pitching holding up. But Nestor's 5-1 with like a 1.6 ERA. Cole's 5-1 with a 2.6 ERA. Italian's, I think, 6 or 7-1 now with a very low ERA. Almost pitched a perfect game the other night. Severino's 5-1, I think, with a low ERA. Almost pitched a no-hitter the other day. Or perfect game, maybe. I don't know. The pitching's been great. And Montgomery, who's only 1-1, has gotten no support. Show me 5 pitchers. You show me a team with 5 starting pitchers as strong as that. Plus, you do have some backup, and Clark Schmidt, who's pitched very, very well before he got sent to the minors, and they're probably stretching him out now. He was pitching in relief, but he was always projected as a starting pitcher. So you've got him. You've got Herman, who's going to be able to pitch at some point this year. You've got some depth. If I'm trading Glaber, I'm trading him for an outfielder. Those two guys are going to come back and kill the Yankees at some point with the production they're giving this team. They will kill them at some point. Go out and trade. I don't even know that I want to trade Glaber right now. But if I did, I'd probably have to, because I'm not trading DJ. I can't trade Donaldson with that contract. You can't trade Gallo. You can't trade Hicks. That kind of it's funny. I had Ray Phillips, a friend of mine, on earlier, or said hello earlier. I thought he might speak up about the Red Sox. The Red Sox are struggling. The Red Sox are trying to get back in the race a little bit. Let me get back to this here. I think they're only a couple games under 500 now. Which is why the Yankees can't sit on anything, because listen, the Blue Jays are playing better. The Red Sox are playing better. Here's my standings. Where are they? Red Sox are sneaking up there. 6-4 again the last 10. They've been steadily climbing in. I mean, there's still 12 games out of first, but they're going to get in the wild card conversation. But I agree. I don't want to hear about the Red Sox either. We got a lot of comments. You guys are doing great today. Time we got. Can't really see. Oh, 10:14. Okay. You guys are going to carry me through. How good are the Mets going to be when they're two pitchers? They're going to be great if those guys come back and be healthy. They're going to be very, very tough outcome to playoffs. And yes, I will say the Mets, I would say, are a lock for the playoffs. This team will not quit like it did last year, regardless of the injuries. What a beautiful morning. Gosh. What do you got here, Rick? Two lighter notes. Mets first round pick pitches first game for the Valley Cats last night. Oh, interesting. And the Mohawks won their home game opener big against the team that beat them in last year's championship 10-3. So congratulations to the Mohawks, and congratulations to the Mets first round pick, who I got to get up. I usually go to some Valley Cats games. I haven't had a chance to get up there yet this year, but soon. Today might be a good day if they're playing home because they play 5 o'clock Sunday games. Herman is out right now. Green's out for the year. Herman is not out for the year. He's on the 60-day disabled list. He's working, I believe, unless something's changed recently, he is not ruled out for the year. Green is. Loguizaga will be back. Chapman will be back. Holmes is pitched lights out. I'm not trading Glaber Torres for some, middle of the road, middle relief pitcher. Chapman stinks, actually. Not even so-so. Stinks. Forgot to mention that other guy Texas got in Gallo trading. Well, I don't have a feeling I'm going to be hearing about these guys for years to come, long after Joey Gallo is, playing in Japan. Garcia was hurting the right field. Listen, he's a good player, Garcia. Kenny, that I don't know if that I don't know if I was Carlos, if I would take, I don't know if that would instill a lot of confidence in me or not. The fact that you'll never find anybody's. Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. Oh, guys, thank you for that. Thanks for making me laugh. Thanks for carrying the show, guys. You guys are doing a great job today. What else is going on around the world of baseball that I wanted to talk about? We talked about Girardi. We talked about Rob Thompson. We talked enough about Texas. What about this fantasy football deal with Tommy Pham and Jock Peterson and I haven't even read the whole story. All I know is there's this big fantasy football league in Major League Baseball that Mike Trout is the commissioner of. It's a $10,000 entry fee. And these guys have got a squabble that Mike Trout, depending on who you listen to, Tommy Pham thinks Mike Trout screwed it all up. I just wanted to throw it out there. I don't know if it's a big story or not. It's Carlos got here. I was talking to Indianapolis Indians. Is that okay? Can they call themselves the Indians? Shouldn't they be changing their name to the Indianapolis 500s or something? Sorry. Carlos was talking to the Indianapolis rep yesterday, and it seems they will probably make a note. That's funny. I didn't even read the rest of your comment. Why would the Mohawks need to change their name? Mohawks are named for the area where they play. We're right here near the Mohawk River. I do not believe the name refers to anything else than that. Rick can probably speak to that better than I can, but being from Amsterdam, my understanding is the Mohawks have nothing to do with the indigenous Native Americans to this country. So I don't know. I don't think so. Rick, you can speak to that if you want. And I don't think again, I'll tell you again, I do not think the Indianapolis Indians need to be changing their name. I don't. Want to talk about how bad the Angels have been? Sure. What do you want to talk about? Their pitching stinks. It's the Angels' same old story. It's a good team. When you got Mike Trout and you got Ohtani, to go along with some other really good complementary players, you're going to score some runs. And I do think the Angels will right the ship. Joe Madden's been through this type of stuff before. And if these pitchers are good, they'll get them back on track. And I still think the Angels are going to compete for a wild card in the American League. Find out. Oh, well, we'll reach out to Spagnola, the president GM of the Mohawks, and find out what their plans are for that. 3-15 in May is pretty bad, right? They must have played more than 15. They must have played more than 18 games in May, though. No. So I think that record might be a little misleading. Yeah, they play Mohawk Valley, which is as far as I know, that's why they're called, and that's a very good point. Do we need to change the name of the Mohawk Valley because it's named after, the Mohawk Indians? I mean, it's just simply a recognition of who inhabited the place hundreds of years ago. A lot of history. There's a lot of history here through the Mohawk Valley, through the Revolutionary War, with some awful. Listen and look at. There were some atrocities on both sides here, by the way, and in Schenectady in the Stockade area, there was a horrendous massacre carried out by the Indians. So, there's some awful things. What is the Mohawks logo? Somebody post it for me. Let me take a quick look, see if I can find it. I don't know if I can see what I'm doing here. I can't read my keys. You guys help me out. Somebody find the logo and send it. I don't know. And again, either way, even if it is, why is every and I'm going to talk with Mark Mancini maybe about this when he comes on. Why is every logo or every team name that has a connotation to Native Americans got to be derogatory? Redskins, I get a little bit. I get that. Mohawks, all I'm doing is acknowledging the name of the tribe. Indians? Braves? Seminoles? Warriors? Marquette changed their name years ago to the Golden Eagles. I mean, some of this I think is a tribute. I think, and again, this may be just my opinion. I could be totally off base. I think a lot of these schools and sports franchises name their teams after Indian tribes and some of the descriptions of Indian tribes as a tribute to their them being warriors. Again, Redskins is one I guess I can give you a debate on, but I can't think of another derogatory name. How is Braves derogatory? How is Mohawks derogatory to the Mets or to the? I'm not even sure about Indians. Well, they didn't have the best record heading into May. You mean in the West? They might have been tied with the Astros or close to the Astros. I don't know if they had the best record though. Yeah, the Mohawks were part of the Iroquois Nation. Yeah, which was this entire Mohawk Valley up here. I don't know how we got here. Right? I mean, I don't get it, Billy. I try not to be insensitive when it comes to these things, but seriously, other than Redskins, and I probably would have let that stand too. I mean, I think even the Native Americans that were polled on this were like 50-50 on whether the name ought to be changed. But other than that, point out one other name that is really a problem. I just don't see it. Mohawk tribes and people are now located more in Canada near St. Well, okay. Again, I don't know why we can't tip our hat to the history of our region. Yeah, and why would they, Alan? Why would they have negative problems with the name Chiefs? I mean, I don't know. Turning stone in 15 minutes. Go. Good luck today, Rick. Yeah, no, I don't think they'll take any offense to taking your money. You could probably go up there with a Redskins jersey. Now I'm really going to get myself in trouble. You could probably go up there wearing a Redskins jersey, and if you lost money, they would not ask you to take it off. But listen, good luck. I hope you win some money too, by the way. Come back with money. Who's up for, speaking of money, who's up for a little road trip to an Army game this year? Now, Kenny and I are talking about going to an Army game, and I'm going to look into tickets. I know somebody's got season tickets. I don't know how many. Going to an Army game. Now, Kenny and I may play golf beforehand, too. Now, I told my wife I'd take her to an Army game, so I'm not so sure that I can go with a bunch of guys, but we'll find out. Who's interested in a little road trip to an Army game, and I'll find a date. We got to find it early enough in the season where Kenny and I, and whoever else might want to play golf, can play golf with us. Rick, I don't think you play golf, but you're certainly welcome to do it if you do, or Carlos, or, well, Alan, you're not coming from Oklahoma to go to an Army game, I'm sure, but we can certainly look into that. Yeah, well, again, this is a topic for a different. Well, it is. I guess it is germane to this show as well. Yes, we have to wipe out our entire history, even the bad parts. Nobody is saying, and now we're expanding the conversation to go into statues, and just because there's statues up of Confederate soldiers, for instance, doesn't mean that we necessarily they're there to revere us. They're there to just commemorate history and things that happened. You ignore your history, you're making a huge mistake. Go to Nazi Germany and learn about that a little bit. Native American organization governments just want to be compensated. Well, they're compensated pretty well running their casinos tax-free. So, again, and that's probably too simplistic. I get it. It's too complicated a conversation for this show. And I do get, you're saying they want to be compensated for the use of the names? Oh, I don't know. The Dallas Cowboys. Listen, why aren't Cowboys offended by that? I mean, geez, why aren't Patriots offended by the use of Patriots being used? Kentucky gets paid when they sell merchandise with any NIL use. Why? Wildcats has nothing to do with. Paula will take her to the outlets. There you go. The most fun you will have at a college. I love the experience at Army for sure. That's the problem. We got to play golf. There we go. All right, we had a little blip in the internet. We've had that problem here the last few days. I don't know what's going on, so hopefully we didn't lose any of that. What was I talking about? Yes, we were talking about the Army game. We have to play golf at 6 a.m. so we get there for all the pomp and circumstance. Alan's going to get to the K-State Oklahoma game, the 24th of September. So you'll make up for the Army game. I guarantee you the experience will be nothing like being at an Army game and watch the cadets march in. And it's a really cool experience, as Rick said. If you haven't been there and you're in this area, absolutely do it. What time have we got here? There's Mark Mancini on the phone as always. Good morning, Mark Mancini. How are you?
Wow, rolling with my Pittsburgh Pirates in San Diego and LA. I'm feeling ecstatic, man. David Slade Goliath, $10 million payroll beat an $800 million payroll. I don't care if we win the World Series. All I know is I own Los Angeles.
Oh my gosh, you're like a broken record, man.
Yeah, you know, it was funny because on XM they were saying Mancini finally got it right. We might have to take the tag off for a week. World's worst handicapper. But it feels damn good that we took these guys out in LA. I mean, they were like 22-2 against us in 24 games till we beat them in Pittsburgh for the first time in 16 games. First win in LA since 2016, first sweep in LA since 2000. Dodgers haven't been swept in LA since 2018 when the Cardinals did it. And if Gavin Lux doesn't get that double down the line, the Phillies would have swept them this year.
Good point. Good point. Dodgers playing the Mets this weekend. So that's been an interesting series so far. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Buck Showalter going to the rule book and making sure that Dave Roberts couldn't bring in a position player in a game that was 5 runs or less.
Well,
it's a new rule that since 2020.
Here's the problem. The Mets are reminding me of the Dodgers. I think it was 2019 when they won the division by 25 games or something. They weren't tested, but they did get tested when a hot team came in playing good baseball in September. And you probably remember it was the Washington Nationals came in Dodger Stadium and beat them. This is what happens when you haven't been tested, when you win your division in May, when you win your division in June. You kind of put it on cruise control. Everybody gets in a relaxed mode. And then it's that hot team that comes out in August and September that springboards you and nails you in October.
Well, that's something you have to watch out for. But again, when I got a manager like Buck Showalter, and I understand Buck hasn't won necessarily in the postseason, but he hasn't had a lot of opportunity with really good teams either. Maybe Arizona Cardinals. Yeah, Arizona Diamondbacks were probably his best team the year before he got let go there. But I think a manager like Buck Showalter keeps a team like that on its toes in a series like that and doesn't. And he keeps, leading up to this, I think this plays into it as well. Talking about getting complacent. I mean, the Mets have got a big lead in the East, a big lead in the East, and they weren't looking ahead, looking forward to this big trip that they had out west, which is a big litmus test for this team, playing the Dodgers, playing the Padres, playing the Angels, who now are in free fall, but still it's going to be the toughest trip and toughest stretch that they've had this year. But they didn't look ahead. They play every game and pay attention to the game they're playing that day, and they don't look ahead. They beat up on the Nationals. They beat up on all the teams they're supposed to. And I just like the way this team approaches their job day in and day out.
Well, when you look at the National League, you got the Dodgers and Padres and Giants over there. But when you look at the Mets and everybody talks about the defending world champions, the Braves, and what the Phillies can do now, and if they solidify the bullpen. But there's 2 teams nobody's really talking about much in the National League, and I think you better talk about them because these are the teams that can springboard you and really knock you right off that perch, and that's the Brewers and Cardinals. And, the Brewers are 6-0 against the Pirates. Pirates are, I always say this, the Pirates are a couple of years away from really doing some serious damage. They kind of remind me of the Houston Astros. You build that minor league system, 7th best in baseball, and you bring those rookies up, you give them the experience, the pitching's coming around. I'm telling you, man, I'm not saying they're in the level of the Brewers or Cardinals yet, but this is a team that's coming on, and you show me another team in baseball that you can really compare that's young and it's making strides like the Pirates. The Marlins have one guy that can pitch, Alcantara over there, but they got veterans over there mixed in. But there's no other team in baseball, and I'm not tooting my horn, but show me another team in baseball that's young enough with young guys that are growing together like the Houston Astros did when they made their run.
It's a good comparison. Again, they got a ways to go to get to where the Astros got, obviously, but that's not a bad comparison. And again, they seem to be going about it. We've talked about it a couple times in recent weeks. They're starting to lock up, and this is what smart organizations do. They lock their kids up for a longer period of time at a less expensive contract, right? And they've done that with Hayes, and they've done that with Reynolds, and they need to stay the course here. And that's been the problem with Pittsburgh for me over the years, is they haven't been able to stay the course and wait out, a 5 year.
Well, look at the guys they've given up. You got two of them in New York, Cole and Holmes, and three if you want to throw Italian in there. You got Cool in Colorado. There's a lot of guys, Musgrove in San Diego. Imagine having two of those guys now, or three of those guys, where the Pirates would be.
Musgrove is the ace of that Padres staff. He's turned into a great pitcher and a Cy Young candidate this year. I think he's been tremendous. I mean, he pitched a no-hitter last year, and I believe he was close to having one again the other night.
Well, and the rookie of the year is going to come down to Mackenzie Gore, San Diego, or it's going to be my boy in Pittsburgh, Sawinski. This dude was playing Double-A ball in Altoona. Keep your eyes on this guy.
Well, that's a good point. We talked a little bit earlier too about the Philadelphia. I got a couple of situations to chat with you about. Girardi getting fired in Philadelphia, which didn't surprise me. Again, when you've got a team like that, he didn't put it together. Dombrowski did. It's a very poor put together team, which wasn't scoring enough runs to overcome a really bad pitching staff and even worse defense. And the manager almost always takes the fall here, but Girardi is not blameless, because this team was just not, and maybe the city was not a good fit for Girardi. Now you've got the show that airs in Philadelphia, and I don't know what you might have heard. You guys might have heard it. I think he might have got fired the day you guys were on this week, if I'm not mistaken, Thursday. What are your thoughts? I like the fact that Rob Thompson finally gets a chance to manage in major leagues. Actually, I like Rob Thompson.
Well,
I want him to get the Yankee job in 2017. So go ahead.
Yeah, a great, studier of the game, knowledge and expertise he has. I look at the Phillies like I look at the Angels. They keep going to the general store in the winter. They don't buy pitching, and if they do buy pitching, they buy these retreads. The bullpen has been an albatross around Philly's neck from the start. They got bats. We know what they have with Schwarber. We know what they have with Hoskins and Harper, and Castellanos. But the bullpen's a complete clown show. And when you look at Han, when you look at Familia from the Mets, they've blown 2 7-run leads. I don't think that's Girardi's fault as much as it is Dombrowski, too. And I like Dombrowski. He's built winners in Detroit, Florida, Boston, wherever he's gone, he's built winners. I'm kind of surprised Girardi took the fall there. What they should have done was get some – the one thing that I look at the Phillies that they didn't do, and I believe it was a couple of years ago when they had a chance to get Hader from the Brewers. They should have got Hader from the Brewers, and that would have solidified the bullpen. And then you could have came in with setup guys. They failed to pull the trigger on that, and that's been the albatross around their neck, and that's what's killed them. The same thing that's happened with the Angels. The Angels are the same way. They've lost 10 in a row. They haven't lost this many since 2016. And, they're getting frontline pitching. It's just that Trout's in an 0 for 23 slump. They're just not getting the timely hits. Rendon's out. And they've got young guys with Ward and Walsh there. But, this is another team that's trying to find themselves. And everybody can say what they want. But, it's interesting how Showalter can come in New York and cultivate that culture there without Scherzer and DeGrom. And what Baker is doing in Houston is simply amazing, too. The guy loses Springer, Correa. I mean, he loses guys left and right, Cole, Greinke, and look what he's doing. He's got a 7.5 game lead.
Yeah, they do a good. They need to hit the ball a little more, though. But I want to back up because, again, this is one of the challenges of our phone conversations. I want to back up to a couple of comments we had when we were talking about teams building the way the Pirates are, and we had a couple examples that some guys brought up, and I think they're not bad. Alan Perales brings up the Texas Rangers as one of those teams. Yes, but they also brought in 2 big free agents this year in Seager and Seaman, but they're playing a lot of their own kids, especially on the pitching staff. and some of the key positions around the field. This is a team that is on the come and kind of building in the same way. All these teams have to bring in some kind of free agents at some point.
And the answer is a great question. The Rangers I look at, they're kind of like, they kind of remind me of the Marlins in some ways. They go out there, they bring a Seager in, like the Marlins bring a Solar in. Sure, they got some young guys, but it's hard to compare the Pirates, because when you look at the Pirates, you look at Thompson, you look at Brubaker, you look at Keller, number one pick, you look at, these guys coming together. Their bullpen has been lights out, Bedard, but it's the young kids that they're coming up through the system, and they've been ravished with injuries, man. They've lost guys to injuries. That's been their downfall, but they got young kids there, and the Rangers are there. I don't want to knock it, but the Pirates aren't going to pay $330 million for a Seager to come into Pittsburgh, and that's the difference between the Rangers and the Pirates.
Well, at least now you can't do it until you're ready to compete. I mean, then maybe you can start thinking about one of those moves, right? And Carlos mentions the Blue Jays in that mode as well. They do have a lot of homegrown kids.
Yeah, they got young bats, mixed in with veteran leadership. Yeah, the Blue Jays are coming. The Blue Jays are ahead. They're a team that we've been looking at them for a few years to do something. And kind of like we did years ago with the Seattle Mariners when they had Randy Johnson and Ken Griffey Jr. and all those guys, with Buhner. We always thought, okay, we're waiting for the Mariners to get over that threshold. And that's how we're looking at the Blue Jays now. And the Blue Jays, I think that, that opportunity comes and you got to take advantage of it. Otherwise it closes. And that's the way you can look at the Dodgers here in some ways. I don't like to give a team that, didn't play a full season, a World Series, but that's the way it was. But when you look at the Dodgers, and they should have 3-4 championships by now. And people come up, well, we got cheated by Boston, we got cheated by Houston. Let's put that aside. Are you built for the regular season, or are you built to win the World Series? And that's the question, the Blue Jays have to answer themselves too. Can they overthrow the Yankees? If the playoffs started today, they'd be in the playoffs. But do they have the pitching and everything to take out the Yankees? The Yankees are really, they're coming into their own now. And Judge bet on himself, and look what's happening, man. He's going to get a boatload of money.
Yeah, the Blue Jays did have some good teams here a few years back and couldn't get over the hump. You mentioned that comparison with the Mariners is a good one, because that team had one of the great regular seasons in the history of baseball.
Yeah.
And go out in the playoffs in the first round of the Yankees. So hate to bring that up, Mariner fans. Sorry. But
I think they won 116 games and they got beat. But I think there's teams that build, and I always say this with a show I do with the Pirates, is if you're progressing instead of regressing. And I think when you look at the Pirates, they've been resilient because they've got, their asses handed to them by the Cubs, 21-0, but they come back the next day and you see what they do. They got beat by the Dodgers, a second game in Pittsburgh this year. I think it was 11-1. They come right back in a 5-3 win, I believe. So they're resilient enough to not sit here and dwell on it. That the walk-off home run in San Diego last week, when Grisham hit it, the 2-run shot, they could have just, sulked there and came up north to play the Dodgers, but they beat the Dodgers at their own game. Great defense, timely hitting, good pitching, and they just shut down the Dodgers. And that's the difference between this year and last year with this team, is if you're making strides, that's the key. And getting back to the Girardi thing, I look at Girardi like I look at Aaron Boone. A lot of people don't like Aaron Boone. I love Aaron Boone. I like Girardi. Girardi will surface somewhere. Yeah. But Boone, see, if you let Boone do his thing, Boone's starting to get it going now in New York. And the Yankees are on a roll, but, maybe the Boo Birds will come out if they don't win the World Series this year. But I think Girardi will resurface somewhere else. I really do.
Yeah. You're probably right. If he wants to get a job, he'll probably get one. But to go back to Boone, you can't tell me that you make the comparison with the Dodgers. The Dodgers should have 4 world championships by now. The way you get judged in New York City is winning in New York in general, is by winning championships, not having great regular seasons. And the Yankees have done that. That's been their MO. He's won 100 games like 3 times since he's been the manager, but we haven't even got to a World Series. That's the knock on Aaron Boone. And he's not tough enough on these guys when things aren't going well. Things are going well now, and I've got nothing bad to say right now about Aaron Boone. But in the past, you can't tell me that you're going to hold the Dodgers and Dave Roberts accountable in LA and not hold Aaron Boone accountable in New York.
Well, the problem is the Yankees probably play in the toughest division in baseball. You're dealing with Tampa, you're dealing with Toronto, you've got the White Sox on the other side. And there's a nice comparison too with the White Sox, because they're another one, like little better than the Pirates as far as developing those guys and getting over the hump. But Houston's been tough. The Yankees have had to compete with a lot of teams, and their pitching was suspect, and now it's all coming together. But when you look on the other side of the coin, the Dodgers had so much depth for years, and they were winning divisions, and they kept getting to the National League Championship, and then they get to the World Series. The Yankees haven't been to the World Series as much as the Dodgers have the last 6 years or whatever, and the Dodgers have just flopped. I mean, they really have flopped. They have it, the Red Sox and Astros beat them, and the mindset is, well, they cheated. Forget about that. Regardless of what happened on the field, you still got to play the game, and the Dodgers just weren't there. Yeah. And I think the comparison with Roberts and Boone, Roberts is a good manager. I like Boone. But I think the division the Dodgers were in, the Padres a few years ago went out there and brought the Myers in, brought, guys in from Uptons and all this, and you saw what Kemp's, and then they had a fire sale a month into the season, and the Giants had just started to get hot recently, and since their championship run with Bochy and everything. So I think the Dodgers have had a luxury. They're beating up on the Rockies, beating up on the Diamondbacks, where the Yankees really only had to beat up on the Orioles. These teams, Tampa, Boston, and Toronto, have always been tough there.
No, that's not a bad point. And while we're talking about the Giants, let me switch gears a little bit. I mean, yes, the Giants, I know in Gabe Kapler's second year, went 107 games last year and don't win a division. But this year, they've kind of come back to earth. They're only, if I'm not mistaken, a couple games over 500 right now. That team's struggling. Is the bloom off the rose there a little bit? And was this, just a flash in the pan and what the Giants did with Gabe Kapler?
Well, I don't really think the Giants are that good as a team, and when you look at it, they're a cold, they're treading water there. I think when you look at this division, it's going to come down to the Dodgers and the Padres, and the Padres will get the advantage because getting Fernando Tatis Jr. back. But I think they got the pitching. I don't think the Giants have the pitching to contend. You see this road trip, they struggled in Cincinnati. They kind of did all right in Philly, but look what they're doing in Miami right now. And, that's been a problem. So you got to take advantage of the Cincinnatis and the Miamis along with the Phillies. I'm not saying go 8-2 on a road trip like the Dodgers did, but, you got to, it's all peaks and valleys, but I don't know if the Giants have enough to contend with the Padres and Dodgers down the stretch.
Yeah, Carlos is talking about, when we were talking about the Giants, he talks about they saw the Posey move coming, him retiring, and that they did a pretty poor job of replacing him. That veteran, you can't discount. It's funny coming from Carlos because I talk about veteran leadership on teams, and a guy like Posey, you can't just. It's not just his performance on the field; it's his presence around the team that leads so much. It goes back to Freddie Freeman leaving Atlanta and the hole he left behind. I see the same thing with Posey and that having effect on the Giants this year.
Well, you're absolutely right. In the Freeman situation, I think what the big surprise in Atlanta is Kenley Jansen. I mean, everybody thought this guy was done, and look what he's racking up saves after saves there. But yeah, I think what's happening is the postseason took a lot out of the Braves, took a lot out of the Giants. These are two teams that, I don't want to say shot their wad in this thing, but, they basically looked at it and said to themselves, shoot, sometimes these teams that go deep in the playoffs, they become sluggish coming back, and especially if you haven't done won the championship, and the Giants came up short. And, we'll find out with Kapler and the Giants, and we'll find out with Snicker and the Braves. But, the real surprise in baseball has been the Minnesota Twins.
one of the teams that I picked to be a surprise this year, the Twins have played well. They've gotten great pitching, great offense, and their bullpen's a little suspect, and they're probably going to have to shore that up. But they are one of the surprises in baseball, and I like them. And if they stay healthy, because Brian Buxton's one of the great talents in the game, his only problem has been staying on the field, and there's several guys in the Minnesota organization have been like that. So if they stay healthy, this team's going to be a tough out come playoff time.
Well, it will, and I was blessed enough to interview Mike LaValle this past week, and we were talking about baseball and where it's going these days, and he said he hasn't really watched it too much, and I think with the way Rob Manfred's been running it and stuff like that, the changes and everything, it's hard to find those dynasties. You and I know growing up, 70s, 80s, 90s, you had teams and the Nasty Boys and the swinging A's and all that. It's hard to find, a team that's going to dominate, for years. Okay, you might give it to the Dodgers being the regular season guys, but man, oh man, it seems like every year baseball has a surprise. And, we saw the Marlins a couple of years ago come out of nowhere in the playoffs with a nice, end of the regular season. We saw the Braves last year. Who's going to be the team this year that comes out of nowhere? Everybody was laughing at me. I still got the Pirates as one of those 6 teams to represent the National League.
That would be a shocker to me as well. But
yeah,
I mean, look, there's, like you said, there's always somebody we don't expect, so they could be that team. So, Mark, in a couple minutes we got left, what else you got on your mind that I haven't brought up that you want to chat about here this morning?
Oh my gosh, a lot of things going on. We're trying to drag you into Philly when you have time. As far as that goes, Sam Perkins coming on the Philly show in a couple weeks here.
Great, Sam Perkins, a great.
The big smooth, and we're trying to locate Earl Monroe. So we're getting trying to get some of those guys, and flying the circuit, getting into Milwaukee, doing a show, and Charlotte here in another month and stuff. But nothing beats this New York show on Sunday mornings. Sunday morning smack with Keith Engel. I'm just so blessed with the opportunity to give me to get in here and lay down the smack with all these great listeners and everything. And a lot of good things are going on across the board. And, things take time, because if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. And you know that.
I do. And I appreciate the kind words. And when you get Sam Perkins, mention to him TGI Sports Talk, because we're right up here in his backyard where he grew up. He went to Shaker. Where'd he go to school? I think he went to Shaker High School right up here in the capital region, of New York State.
Wow. Yeah, we will. And, it's interesting, because when you look at these great talents, and he's even said the NBA's changed over the years too, where the dynasties. I will tell you this, it's been a rough go of it in Los Angeles. The Pirates smacked the Dodgers. I don't see Dodger caps around. And if Boston wins the championship, wow, they might just bury Los Angeles, because the Celtics will then pass the Lakers for titles.
Good point. All right, Mark, you have a good Sunday. We'll talk to
I love you, brother. I love the callers. We'll talk to you next week. I'll chat with you during the week.
Get on the video, will you?
Yeah, definitely. I got to get on that, man. I got to. Okay, my brother. Have a blessed one. Thanks for everything.
Right, have a great day, bud. Bye.
You too.
Bye. I'll keep riding him until he gets on the video. I know he's got a face made for radio, Rick, but it's easier for me to do the audience participation thing when he can see the comments too. So a couple things, Alan, we will definitely do some more commentary with the NFC East with Elton Brand's from Poughkeepsie, huh? That's interesting. I didn't know he was from here. Yeah, Shaker High School, where Sam Perkins went to school, is like, just a hop, skip, and a throw. It's like 10 minutes away. Well, not for me now, but it was. Alan, we will talk more about the NFC East. I promise you. I want to go back here to the Army. Carlos, you brought up. I got to get back here. I don't know if I can get to it or not. Anyway, Alan, you brought up I'd love to go to the Army Wake Forest game, but I'm pretty sure that game's going to be in Wake Forest this year as Wake came up to Army last year. So I'd have to look at the schedule, and it's a little difficult for me to look up here right now. So, but I think that game is going to be in Wake Forest. I'm almost positive. I do. One game that I want to kind of look into is the Texas San Antonio game. I think it might be the second game of the season. It's definitely up here at Army. So that might be a good game to go see, to be honest with you. No, I don't. I remember Elton Brand. I did not know he was from the Poughkeepsie area. That's all. Great player. Played with I think he played with the 76ers in the Clippers, if I remember, and his career might have been cut short by some injuries. Had a good NBA career, and I think it got cut short by injuries. So great show today, guys. Any last comments? We've got about 4 minutes before we got to kind of finish up here. Be glad to kind of talk about anything you want. We didn't get a chance to talk too much NFL, which we'll do certainly as we go forward. Ryan Fitzpatrick did retire this week. 17 years out of Harvard. Good job staying in the league that long. Ryan, you made a lot of money off of a few really good games because your record is not good. I don't mean to disparage Ryan Fitzpatrick, but people who think he's a great quarterback, go look at his career record. I know he didn't play on good teams, but you contribute to that record as a starting quarterback. And also, as I mentioned before, we'd like to send our condolences to the family of Marion Barber, who very sadly took his own life this week. And we hope he finds a way to rest in peace and his family can have some peace as well. So what do we got here? Yeah, I figured that game was at Wake Forest. Alan Mack. Yeah, Alex Mack retired this week as well for the 49ers. And Frank Gore, who I mentioned to Alan earlier, I thought this already happened. He retired as a 49er this week as well. So good catch there. Fitzpatrick had 21 well, that's great. Again, as I said, Ryan Fitzpatrick had like a handful of great games in his career that got him some really big contracts. He beat the Patriots against the Bills. I think the Bills started maybe 3 or 4-0 that year. They beat the Patriots in week 4, I want to say, and they gave him a gazillion-dollar contract after that. And the rest was history. You know where it went. UConn versus Connecticut. UConn is Connecticut. What are you talking about? No, I don't. Are you talking about? Are you talking about Army now? We can't go November 19th if Kenny and I want to play golf. I can tell you that right now. So that game will probably be out. Well, Army versus UConn. That makes more sense. Yeah, we can't. If we're trying to tie a golf trip to this golf course that Kenny keeps raving about down near the campus of West Point. So it's not going to be November 19th. I can tell you that right now. October we can do. September I can do, obviously. Even October I can do. Late October, depending on the weather. But we'll play it there. Play cornhole instead. I only play cornhole during the summer as well. I don't believe in these indoor leagues. All right, guys, listen. It's been a great Sunday. I always enjoy being outside and doing the show, and getting the fresh air and keeps me calmer, I guess. So you can take that for what it's worth. Great having you guys. Thanks for the participation. You guys did great today, as you always do. I want to thank all the groups that allow me to share this show. We'll see you guys next week. This is Keith Engel for TGI Sports Talk right here on Northeast Streaming Sports. Have a great Sunday afternoon, guys. Bye-bye.